Good morning out there. Welcome to week 3. I decided to do a week 3 today. I want to talk a little bit about some things that you undergo when you start kind of healing from the trauma and dealing with some of the stories. I've talked over the last couple of weeks about how your ego is essentially an accumulation of all the things that you were taught and told from the time that you were a child. And I've talked about, being on this spiritual journey and over the last week, I've realized that, this isn't even a journey. The truth is that everything that you are is already there. There's no journey to get there. It's probably the bigger equivalent would be that, you're in a room with a mirror and the mirror's really dirty and the room's really foggy. And as you are in that room and you start to clean off the mirror and you start to clear the fog, you start to see the brilliance of who you really are there. And the fog and that dirt on the mirrors are all the things that you were taught growing up, all the things that you were told about yourself growing up, all the stories that your ego identity tagged on to create this image of who you are. However, we've talked about that image not being you. In the past, I've talked about traumas, and I've named out some of the traumas. And there were, as I've been on this journey of solitude for myself to try to understand and grow and learn more about myself, I've had many, many amazing days. It's funny. I think some people talk about, well, as long as I have one good day, more than one bad day, it's been a good week. And, it's an experience that I don't have anymore. I mean, usually it's 6 great days and one day where I maybe will do some reflection. And part of the reflection is being connected to your soul all the time. It takes practice. It can be difficult at times. And so the best way to go about that is to continue to learn how you can shed some of those stories, shed some of those, ego identity traits even more to help purge all that from you. So, that what is there is more pure. Some things I didn't share that I wasn't ready to share at the time. With all the trauma and all the things that happened that were tragic. I mean, there have been other things too. I've lost people. I've lost good friends throughout the years. I've started in high school, lost someone, a good friend, and a good friend. I lost him over the summer because I was kind of sent off to be with my grandparents every summer, and this person died kind of tragically, and I didn't get to find out until I got back. And even when I got back, it was difficult because I didn't really know how to deal with it, or I was already at the point where I was already suppressing so much emotion, so much feeling, I couldn't purge it. And then years later, I had a good friend of mine, playing in a football game, died right in front of me. And that was difficult. But what was more difficult is the guilt that I've carried for the last 22 years or so over how I felt and how I reacted in that situation. Didn't make sense to me at the time. I couldn't make sense out of it. I feel like I acted in a selfish manner. And that guilt came up especially when we went to the hospital and I saw him laying there, lifeless. His kids that he left behind. Carried that with me for a long time. So in this 1,000-mile journey to find myself in this time alone, apart, I've decided to go ahead and continue to take those steps and heal from some of those other things that have happened. There are other things too that I've taken the time to really see and try to understand. Marital infidelity was not mine; it was my partner's, and having to carry that pain with me. So I sit here and I talk about dealing with your traumas and dealing with your pain, and there's plenty of it there for you to deal with, but once you take that first step and deal with the first things that are holding you back, then the next ones become easier and the next ones become easier. So those are certainly things. The moment I get back and I get back in front of someone I trust, I plan on purging that as well. When I tell you all this and we talk about where we are in this journey and how to connect to your soul, I never want to give you the impression that that I'm perfect, because as a human I'm absolutely not perfect. My soul's perfect, your soul's perfect, but the human experience isn't perfect. It never is perfect. It's messy. And I truly believe the more you can take that ego identity and strip it away and get down to really who you are, who your core is, who your soul is, connect to that higher self, connect to Creator. That's when you start to really find out what your true power is, what your true capabilities are. Look, again, I've said I still have an ego just like everybody else. However, I choose differently now, and it's easier for me to choose differently. Don't think for one moment when things happen or when people make comments to me or whatever, that in my mind I'm not witty enough to come back. Look, I traveled the world with 50 men for several years, and in that environment was a lot of fun, but it was a pretty toxic masculine environment where we all teased each other constantly on the entire trip. So to think that I don't have the intelligence or the wit to have some sort of a snappy comeback that would make someone feel 6 inches tall in a heartbeat is not true. I just choose not to do that, because whatever pain that person's going through that got projected on me, my desire isn't to turn around and cause pain to that person. It's to try to bring light to that person to say, hey, I love you. I know that what happened isn't, what you said or whatever you saw in me that you feel like is not in you, that caused you to lash out. And I guess what I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to hurt each other like this. I listened to John Lennon's song Imagine a lot. Actually, Tony listened to it. It was the only Beatles song at the time that Tony even liked. Even now listening to that song, it brings tears. Because he's right. That is the world we should be striving for. So, I love y'all very much. Peace. Hope this reaches you well. And you all have a blessed Sunday, a blessed week. Stay safe. All right. Thank you. Bye.